I could tell you about Peyton Pritchard, who spent his senior year winning a 6A state title at West Lynn, who's been in this place before, went to a Final Four his freshman year, dealt with the frustration of this season, and calls this particular moment one of the highlights of his career. Walk me through the 48 to 72 hours between getting into San Francisco for the Red Box Bowl, Mark Richt decides that he's going to step down, your name comes up with a bunch of reports about Miami, Manny gets the job. Walk me through that time frame there. I talked to a couple Pac-12 officials here who were very caught off guard by the announcement. It hit about halftime of the Oregon State-Utah game, which was the early one here down in Las Vegas, and they said they're in regular communication with Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott about what is going on, but as of now, there is no plans to change anything. It is going business as usual, at least for right now. The Big 12 and Big 10 have followed the NCAA's lead. Their conference tournaments this week are going to be going with no fans and the same stipulations that the NCAA has put forward for their tournaments. So for the Pac-12, they have to make a decision, whether that be tonight or tomorrow before the next set of games start, if they are going to follow suit as well. There is going to be a before March 12th, 2020, and there is going to be an after March 12th, 2020. It was the right decision, but it was unfortunate that it had to happen this way and with the speed that it did over the last 48 hours. But for me, to you at home as fans, the memories that you have made, the things that you have seen, the plays that you have cheered, that is what will remain now. No virus can take that away from you, from the kids, from the coaches, anybody that has been around these programs throughout this winter, through the 4 years of these senior classes. What was the best phone call or text message that you got in the aftermath?
My high school coach, she texted me and said that my high school number was going to get retired.
Former Oregon track legend and Nike Oregon project coach Alberto Salazar was suspended by the United States Anti-Doping Agency for a violation of doping rules. Forgive me for looking at my phone on the air, folks, but we have some breaking news. This from Runner's World. The Nike Oregon project has been shuttered. I'm going to show you something. It's a different type of storm in Moda. It's a whiteout. 19,980 strong. That was making the rounds on social media. I asked Mo Harkless about it after the game. He laughed and said, "This picture right here pretty much is Dame in a nutshell." We've decided that it's roughly between a 180 and a 200-mile fastball equivalent. So pray for me. It should be fun. We actually did break down the math for real. Stone's fastest spike that day clocked in at 58 miles an hour, with a distance of about 10 feet to cover. The equation came out to a reaction time of 0.12 seconds from the time it hits her hand to the time it reaches the player digging the ball. The result, when you put a hapless sports director in front, pretty close. Not so great, but eventually muscle memory did take over.
The face.
And to show you just how much this all means to all of these players, the most reserved, shy kind of guy on the team, Justin Herbert, reduced to tears, saying, "I can't believe it is coming to an end." And it all will here on New Year's Day. It just means something more in the granddaddy of them all. He's come to the games quite a few times as a kid. He was actually walking into his seats at State Farm Stadium when DeAnthony Thomas housed the opening kickoff of the 2013 Fiesta Bowl, in which Oregon defeated Kansas State. He's hoping to have a similar finish himself and finally get that one magical win over Brock Purdy. My dad was a U of O alum. That made me a Duck fan growing up. And here is the man, the myth, the legend, my father. Dad, the last time Oregon played Wisconsin in the Rose Bowl, you guys opted to not bring me. You can't get rid of me this time, so I have to ask, what does it mean for the Ducks to be back here in this game?
It means everything to come back to the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all, with my son. I never would have thought.
Women need the opportunity. They deserve the opportunity, said McGraw. Asked whether she plans to ever hire a male coach again, she doesn't hesitate. No. Now, she and UConn head coach Gina Auriemma have traded barbs over the last couple of weeks about this very subject. It continued today in the press conferences here in Tampa, but the topic goes so much deeper than that. One thing Coach Cristobal mentioned about Iowa State was that team with their senior leadership reminded him a lot of his team that won the Rose Bowl last season, the Justin Herberts, the Troy Dyes of the world. Those guys were as motivated as they were as senior leaders because their freshman year they went 4-8. They felt embarrassed. They never wanted it to happen again, and they wanted to bring the program back up from basically the nadir that it was in that 2016 season. The leaders on this team, they need to be found this offseason and going forward, and they need to be the guys to pick it up and say what happened here and the 4-3 season that happened in this COVID-shortened season will not happen again. You follow the orange balloon in the sky, the North Star of tailgating here in Corvallis. We're going to have this story expanded tomorrow night on KEZI College Football Game Night. And folks, this guy absolutely knows what he's doing. Right here. You're my guy. And Julian, you're my guy too. We'll send it back. Highlights and more coming up at 11 o'clock. But for now, reporting with the dude in Corvallis, Andrew Haubner, KEZI 9 Sports. Since the turn of the millennium, Oregon quarterbacks have stood on opposite sidelines in the NFL just twice, but in both occurrences, one of those quarterbacks didn't play. To find a game between two former Duck QBs in which both threw at least one pass, you'd have to go back to 1960 when George Shaw and Norm Van Brocklin played. It was a game between the Eagles and the Giants. 60 years and 2 or so weeks later, we were treated to something great in Las Vegas. What made it even better was we didn't even know we'd get it at the start. Initially, it was just another Thursday night game. Raiders versus Chargers, and there's our first Duck QB. Justin Herbert hitting Hunter Henry for the opening touchdown of the game. Chargers take a 7-0 lead to start things off. But then on 3rd and goal, something happened. Derek Carr, scrambling in the pocket, pulls up Wayne. Looks like he pulled something in the groin, so who else comes in but Marcus Mariota? The long journey in the league took him back under center, and that's when the magic happened. Mariota to Darren Waller for the touchdown. Let the duel of the Ducks begin. Just before the half is where we move. Herbert now. He hits Ty Johnson. This one, a score. This is what he's done in the NFL all season long. It's why he's probably the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year. But Mariota showed he's got a lot in the tank. 4th quarter, 4th and 1. Look at the athleticism in that throw. And then on 3rd and goal later on, we get the Flying Hawaiian 2.0. Good to have you back, Mr. Mariota. The team loves it. He loves it. Derek Carr on the sideline loves it too, but this is still a Chargers game, and if you've watched the Chargers all year, you know the special teams have been suboptimal. Michael Badgley, that's his 2nd missed kick to win within the last 4 minutes in regulation in this game, so we go to overtime. Mariota rolls out. You can question the play call here, mostly just a great defensive play. Vegas settles for the field goal. Groans from the Raiders, groans from Gruden. Now it's Herbie's turn. Can the Chargers do this after a year of close losses? Herbie loads up, lets it go long. If this were in Autzen, the place would be going wild. And what better way to end this thing than an Oregon quarterback punching it in? In this game, by the way, Justin Herbert tied the NFL record for most passed touchdowns by a rookie quarterback. Chargers won 30-27, but the real winner was Duck Nation. Here is what Mariota and Herbert had to say after the game.
It was special for me. You know, I've gotten to know.
KEZI 9 Sports with Andrew Haubner.
Sports is worth nothing. Sports is worth everything. We all might have known that before all this happened, but never has it been more apparent than it is right now. We feel the loss, for many of us, like we would losing something as vital as a friend or a piece of innocence that we clung so tightly to. Athletes around the country feel this even more than fans or those of us that have the luck and privilege to make our livelihoods talking about it. In these moments of grief, we turn to memories, the one thing powerful enough to take moments of emptiness and replace them with joy, to do what our moms told us to do, right? Simply turn a frown upside down. We hope to accomplish that with this senior series. Growing up, fall Saturdays were for the Ducks. Even a couple thousand miles away in New York, Saturdays were and still are for my father and I. When I left home and went to Colorado and then Wyoming and then Oregon, we'd convene on the phone on Sunday and talk football. And when I told them I'd be reporting on the Beavers too, OSU was folded into that discussion. It's going to be a strange fall not having that, but here we are in the strangest of times. The Pac-12 decision to postpone all athletic competition in the 2020 year came shortly after the decision from the Big Ten.